This is Sexy Funny Raw, where we chat all about the world of sex, from dating and relationships all the way to the adult industry itself. I'm Silvia Saige, and this is my Pornspective, answering all the questions you weren't even brave enough to ask Google. Get ready, because Sexy Funny Raw starts now.
Hey, hey, hey. Welcome back, you guys. It is another episode of Sexy Funny Raw. I am, of course, your host, Silvia Saige. Joined in studio with me is my co-host, Dr. Eddie, giving us his public health perspective. I love saying that. I don't know why, but I really do.
I like hearing it.
Yeah. Good. All right, you guys, it is my pleasure, my honor to have one of my very good friends, Performer of the Year, Cherie DeVille in studio with us today. Thank you, Cherie. I always say my very good friend. I should say our very good friend. There you
go.
Yeah, actually, Cherie, you are the reason I'm even... I know. I don't know why I did. That was so rude of me. Because actually, Dr. Eddie, you are the reason... Well, no, Cherie, that was weird. Cherie, you are the reason I know Dr. Eddie.
Mm-hmm. So, we've been friends for a long time, many years.
Like 9 years?
Yeah, like 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys got our friendship beat, but I've been in her, so...
So there. As has your foot.
Yeah. Yes, that is the truth. Far, far in there. Land of Narnia, they say. Land of Narnia. But speaking of that, and what we did to get there, we're talking financial freedom today. Financial freedom in the industry of adults. And I'd say because of that scene in particular, we might have achieved some financial freedom.
Some additional financial freedom, see? Yes.
But it is interesting because I get the question all the time of how does porn still make money? Because people are so used to seeing these tube sites and seeing everything for free that people...
everything I've ever watched is free. How can it be,
People
lucrative?
Forget that it is a how many billion-dollar industry, Dr. Eddie? $97 billion industry, and people are like, but I don't understand how anybody makes any money.
I think those are 2000 numbers too, so it's probably gone up. Yeah.
Probably gone up
if you
quite
look on
significantly.
Google and you look at the top 10 most searched sites, like 5 of them are porn sites. You know what I mean? Tube sites, porn sites. Yeah.
No, 110%. But people think they're like, oh, there's no way because you guys aren't selling DVDs anymore. So people are wondering, how does it happen? So
please tell us.
We're going to talk about it. Well, I think there's a few things. So I think for one, and I say this all the time because people have very different experiences in the porn industry.
Well, that's such a big term. Like, that's like saying within sex work. What is sex work? Within the porn industry, what is the porn industry? We are both so blessed to work in the mainstream, super high-end adult film industry.
Yes.
Right? Now, anyone can create porn. You could live absolutely anywhere and have no equipment but a cell phone and create and monetize porn.
Yeah.
So we are really isolated in a pretty nice little bubble.
Pretty healthy little bubble. I'm very excited about the genre that we exist in, but I think you can exist pretty much anywhere in the world of sex and still make a great income because it's such a driving force. It's a driving force of nature at the end of the day. I mean, it is the reason we all tick. It's the reason any of us exist on this planet whatsoever is because of sex.
Sex work is easy to monetize.
Demonizing it also creates this.
But that also helps us monetize it.
Sure does.
Because we become so taboo.
Well, this made me think
dirty
of that.
Little secrets.
You know, you said, helps us monetize it, the fact that it's kind of a dirty secret. You know, that also helps the scammers monetize it.
Yes.
Because think about this. So all of us are used by scammers to convince men to send us money.
Yes.
To convince men that we're lost, trapped, kidnapped, whatever it is. So the very cultural ideas that create so if we were any other actress, they would know that we probably make millions of dollars a year and don't want your iTunes card. Right?
Yes.
That would seem very obvious in any other profession.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the misogyny and the disrespect that sex workers get that even allow those scams to exist, that even allow a pool of men to believe that we would need your money.
it's
or a white knight to save us.
I love that you just said that. I just had to post something because I had several people come to me on my OnlyFans and be like, hey, I sent money to you. And I'm like, no, you didn't. And why would I ever reach out to you saying I need money, asking for $100 Amazon gift card? I tell you all the time, I just bought a G-Wagon.
Right.
Like, what are we talking about? I am not a damsel in distress by any stretch of the imagination.
But don't you think it's culturally easier for us to be placed there by men specifically? Because it still keeps us less than and in need of help financially and emotionally. We're still poor little things.
Even if we're making money.
Silvia fucking Saige. It'd be like Julia Roberts needs my help with $100 iTunes card that I'm going to send to Ghana so she can. What?
Yes.
The fuck?
Yeah. No. But even that, even if they are believed that we have money, even if they're like, okay, she has money, I get this other comment of people being like, oh, I really hope that you're saving. I really hope you're putting it away.
I really hope that you're saving.
Right.
Because most humans don't.
Yes.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Like, they need me to be so bad with money.
You did this year, so why don't you fuck off?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so condescending that someone who has, even a surgeon's job would be like, but darling, are you saving your money?
Yes.
Actually, on that note, as the doctor in the room that makes way the least amount of money, I think perhaps something that we might want to start with as well is the conversation about the entrepreneurial nature. And we've mentioned it briefly, but I'm surrounded by these amazing, powerful women that are incredible multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And that's often not what's represented in documentaries or research or any of these things. It doesn't show that side of it. It's always the victim or the trafficked person or the young person. But like you had mentioned earlier, it's a really broad term that covers a lot of different facets. And it is that in some places.
Sure.
Of course it is. And we have to fix that. But it's not that across the board for everyone. And I think the entrepreneurial side is something that takes a little bit of getting used to because, these are multi-million-dollar businesses that each of you run because you have a brand. And all of those kind of aspects of it, I think, are piece of financial freedom that comes with experience and time and opportunity. And so maybe we can explain, maybe you can talk a little bit about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think that might be helpful for people to understand, like, the alternative side of, like, the trafficking and all the horrible things that are often what you hear on TV or in other media.
Well, one, I think it's easier to paint us as victims.
Yes.
And even though that is an incredibly dark side, I like to tell my friends who are not in the industry, why don't you think of it like acting? We all living in LA know actors who have never made $100, and are always struggling. And we all know actors that are at the top of the game. So sex work is a lot like that, through luck, through intelligence, through
hard work,
entrepreneurship, through incredibly hard work. All of those factors come together to make some people be more successful than others as well.
Yeah, I say that all the time, and I was touching on that, and I think I probably got off subject because I do that. I'm a rambler. But I always say there are two types of people that come into the industry: people who see it as a business, and people who see it as like, I'm going to go have sex with people. And there's nothing wrong with either one. I think when my best friend got into the industry, she was the person who was like, I'm going to go have sex with all these people. And she was just so excited to just go in and like have sex. And I was like, oh, well, I need to make money. I didn't see it as like, I'm excited to do this. I saw it as, I want to support my comedy career. Yeah. How can I do that? How many movies do I need to make a month to make this happen? Yeah. And then I just kept setting bigger and bigger goals for myself. And every month I was like, all right, well, we did that this month, so it's double it this month. And every year I've doubled my income because I've put in the thought and the time.
How to, as a business
Yes,
woman.
Exactly.
And I think one part that's almost missing in that is you can say for most jobs that say I want to be a waitress, right? And I think it's my dream and the only thing I want is to serve people, right? You can't really do, I hate to be this person, but because of the cultural, because of the society that we live in, you do have to make that business choice from day one.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, especially for women, once you enter sex work,
you can go nowhere else.
Especially publicly on film, I don't care if you change your mind day one, it's kind of too late, right? So going in for the joy of sex is very dangerous because if you change your mind later, you're trapped.
Right. And when you say
so you have to go in as a business person because you're making a huge choice filming that first film.
Yeah. When you say too late, you mean too late to go work back in corporate America.
Right. You could have your own business. You could run your own company. Some companies, but you will never work for somebody else for the most part, unless they're incredibly open-minded.
Yeah.
Even universities will kick you out of school. It will be very challenging to move forward even as a waitress once you've done porn.
Which is why I always say I don't think anyone should get into the pornography industry until they're at least 25 years of age or older, because I think that they don't have the mental capacity to think long term. That is one of the last things that develops in your brain. Am I correct about this, Dr. Eddie?
I mean, certainly for men.
Yeah, but it is long-term consequences is one of the last things that develops in a adolescent's brain, and that doesn't develop until around 24 or 25 when they can have those thoughts of like, this is going to affect me because of X, Y, and Z in my future career, my future life. Everything about your life will change, not just careers. The people that are willing to date you, the people who are willing to allow you to meet their friends, anything. Like everything
Won't try
changes.
And bully you out of the neighborhood. Absolutely.
Yeah. Things, I don't know, things change so very dramatically when you step into this industry, and you really have to be aware of it.
Yeah, which is why I think going in with a business mind for this industry more than any other is super important, because unfortunately, because of the way society sees us, our options are so limited once you film that first pornographic film.
So let's tell them how we make money. Advertising. And at this point in the game, you guys, I hate to tell you, but for you are different because you are a contract star. But for me specifically, I feel when I go to work for companies, when I go to work for Naughty America or Team Ski or someone like that, that for me is just an advertisement.
No, that's exactly how I feel.
I get paid for it.
That's the reason I chose to become contracted, because I know as a contract girl, I'm going to be in what they call a top ad scene, which means that scene is guaranteed to be cut into advertisements that will go onto tube sites and their site, which I can see an exact number. Like that ad pops, my sites do better that exact same day. It is an immediate correlation.
Yeah.
And don't tell browsers, but I do it for free because the ad money is so worthwhile.
Yeah.
It is a blessing.
Yeah. No, that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think that porn per se is our income. That is our number one income, when it couldn't be further from the truth. It's probably one of my lowest incomes, if I'm being honest. I make money off of owning my own company, owning my own content, OnlyFans sites. There for a while. I mean, obviously it changes through everything.
I have my own .com. I post on all the clip sites. Of course, I use OnlyFans and a bunch of its competitors. I post on the tube sites strategically. You know, it's all...
This is big business, though. It takes a team of people to be able to navigate these multi-million-dollar businesses.
Well, absolutely. I started by overworking myself to the bone until I got enough money to hire more and more and more and more team members.
And you have to, because it comes to a point where it's an overload of things, whether it be hiring editors or hiring videographers or hiring whatever.
You wouldn't expect any executive to run a multi-million-dollar business by themselves.
Right. No, exactly. And a lot of people don't understand, we're allowed to price things however we would like to price them when we, on our own sites. And I decide what my value is. You don't decide. If you don't want to buy it, that's fine. Move along. But there are plenty of people who will pay those prices,
Absolutely.
So, also, not to mention, do you have a fleshlight yet?
I have a Doc Johnson stroker.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, Doc Johnson.
Have I monetized my holes? Yes, I have.
Yeah, exactly. So it's things. It's merchandise. It's our actual physical bodies.
I have a clothing line. We all do a lot of. I write. You have comedy. We all have many streams of income.
Yeah, and just being a social media person in general, I think. I had someone ask me recently, they're like, why do you even do this TikTok? And I was like, why do I do the TikTok? It's for the turnover.
Traffic.
110%.
How do you make money on TikTok? Eyeballs. The same way every company wants your eyeballs. That's why a lot of these sites don't even need, why does anyone post an ad on Pornhub? Because Pornhub has eyeballs. It's the most, it's the biggest thing you can own in 2023, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, I've been building email lists my entire career. Like, they're invaluable.
And people think we don't make money on Pornhub. We actually do make money per,
it's one of the only tube sites that plays ball.
Right.
They have ID verification. They pay us residuals. We get paid every time someone watches any of our videos.
Right. Just because you're watching it for free doesn't mean that it's not coming to us in some way, shape, or form.
If there's an ad on Pornhub, that money's going somewhere, to us and to them and to
It trickles down, but we certainly still see a percentage of it. So there are just so many different facets, and I think anyone should have multiple streams of income. I don't think it should just be one person.
Well, I mean, it's dangerous to have only one stream of income.
Yes, because at any point in time that could end, and we've all seen sites come and go. I mean, there for a while Snapchat was the big thing, and now it's like yesterday's news. I mean,
and 100 other things. I mean, back in early 2000s, having your own .com was the golden goose. It just changes all the time.
But that's just it. It does change. And as business people, we have to ebb and flow with what is changing and adapt to what's going on. Like, I don't want to be on TikTok 3 times a day, but I am, I am there because I'm trying to catch new people who I wouldn't, naturally see coming to a tube site or anything like that. And actually, I'm finding I'm getting a larger female audience from TikTok, which is very interesting.
TikTok is one of the few sites, unlike Twitter and Instagram, that hasn't shadow banned us to the point where, on Instagram, the only people that are seeing my content are pretty much the people that already follow me. So that's not as relevant. Where on TikTok, you can see in their analytics that 50% or sometimes way, way more of the people viewing the content are people who may have never seen you. And that's incredible.
Would never run across you any other way. Yeah. I love it. No.
How would you define ethical porn? Because I was actually asked this question in an interview recently, and for me, ethical porn actually has nothing to do with the content depicted, because some people are like, ethical porn is porn that shows women's pleasure, and I'm like, well, I don't like to see that when I watch porn, so I don't think that defines ethical porn. I think it's more like buying ethical clothing. If you care enough to, one, pay for it so that you know what site it's coming from, that IDs were collected, they had consensual practices. You should be vetting if you care.
Yes.
You should be vetting your adult content like you vet your clothing or anything else that you consume. At one point, and even currently, most of the tube sites are stolen content or user uploaded content that not only doesn't have IDs, but it could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be actual revenge porn. It could be actual grotesque material. So to the people that are just watching free porn, I'd say be very careful if you care about the ethics, because if anyone can upload anything, then you have no way of vetting if that's ethical porn. Now, if you're going to OnlyFans or if you're going to our sites or if you're going to Brazzers or Evil Angel or Kink or any of those porn sites
mainstream
that have to play by the rules, then with confidence that everyone consented, that there was a checklist, that IDs were collected. To me, that's the hallmark of ethical porn, not the content created.
I could not agree more. I've been fighting that on TikTok as well lately, is people being like, oh, how can you glamorize this? How can you stand for this when, people are not consenting? I was like, because that's not what I'm in.
I'm not glamorizing rape.
Right, exactly. I'm in consensual porn. That is what I am. I am in porn where there is legal paperwork of thickness. I show up to set and I fill out gowns of paperwork telling me everything. I check test. I go through a yes and a no list of things I'm comfortable with. I know what words I'm going to say, before the time starts.
I think that our opposition, like the hashtag trafficking hub people, the evangelicals, are the reason that you're getting those questions, because they have effectively in the public eye conflated sex trafficking, kidnapping and rape
to pornography.
With the those two things couldn't be further apart, but because of their directly anti-porn agenda disguised as a let's save the children agenda, which is disgusting in and of itself, because the people they're weaponizing to make other humans dislike us are victims of crimes.
Yes.
They're using, I get so emotional,
That's
actual victims' pain and rape to forward a false agenda against legal consenting sex workers that have nothing, would have nothing, and never have had anything to do with that realm. So like they say they're religious and upholding this moral standard when they're taking victims' pain and lying about it to shut down consenting. I don't think there could be something more disgusting, unethical, unmoral. Like, what happened to an internal moral compass? Like, you might want to forward your religious preferences, but can we perhaps do that without using children's pain and rape?
Right.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah, with some rationale. That's all we're asking. Yeah.
Like, maybe don't gaslight the public with that. It's disgusting.
Well, there's so much gaslighting of the public going on right now.
But there's so much to the fact where regular people with good meaning, like I'm sure they mean well, they're asking you, they're brave enough to ask you this question.
True.
But the fact that they have been fed this lie just shows you how incredibly effective that anti-porn campaign has been.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. It really is. And not because it's going to hurt my pocketbook. It's not why it's devastating.
No,
it's devastating for so many other reasons.
No, in fact, it won't hurt. We are privileged.
We're $1 billion industry.
But there's plenty of sex workers who are not privileged. And the less privilege you have in this sphere, the more you are injured by those people's bullshit. And I don't think they care. Not only do I think they don't care, but I think they're completely aware of it.
Oh, 110%. Yeah. They know exactly what they are doing. Their purpose is to destroy.
They know it statistically increases violence against women. They know all of these things.
Yeah.
And they still move forward. It's disgusting.
It is. No, I could not agree with you more. I could go on for a while about that also because I'm like, I don't even know if we need to put this in there, but I'm also super upset with the trans thing going on right now and like the whole religious thing. So I'm also like super heated in that department.
What like happened in like Florida?
In Tennessee, like taking away like drag queens reading to children,
God.
like because that's the fucking problem, right? Like a man in a dress reading a book is a problem. Yeah.
Well, a man in a dress.
Right, a man in a dress
is
reading
the
a
problem
book. Yeah,
in those
is the
places,
problem.
for sure.
Yeah, even though the Pope wears a fucking dress, but whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty sparkly dress with a very nice hat.
Yeah.
You mean his vestments?
Yeah.
His sparkly costume, yes.
Yeah. And there's
I think his
more
designer,
rapists in
the
the
person
church
that designs
than,
it is actually
Yeah.
he's a gay designer.
I wish there was as much
that would be
consent
funny.
in
I think
religion as there was in porn. I wish that were the case. I would love to see consent with religion. Can we start there?
That's a completely different.
It is. I know.
Financial freedom.
I know. But because you got really passionate, I get really passionate.
These things do affect people's financial freedom.
It does, of course.
That kind of is my overarching point. It might not
100%.
affect the most privileged of us, but it does affect us when Bill Ackman reads some newspaper and decides that he's going to stop MasterCard and Visa processing
From
for adult,
OnlyFans,
from adult sites. It affects a lot of people.
Yeah.
We might be blessed to have multiple streams of income, but not everybody is. So there is real financial pain to a lot of these things that people are doing.
Yeah.
Because
at the end of the day, that OnlyFans thing, like, that wasn't going to destroy me. I would have moved to another platform and I would have changed and I would have, evolved. But you're right. That would have taken so many people completely out, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't go back to work and they were like, oh, OnlyFans.
Well, a lot of people were using OnlyFans as a stopgap because their work was closed or their work was dangerous or they were caring for an elderly relative or now their kids were home full time and they couldn't work. Like it was an important income for a lot of people.
Yeah. But I do feel like because of OnlyFans and its glory days being so thriving right now, I feel like it is also shifting how people feel.
I hope so.
In general, as a group, about sexuality and about.
There's other celebrities that now have OnlyFans that
Yeah.
aren't
Lots.
only exclusively sexually based and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also just.
And celebrities that do have sexually
based.
OnlyFans, which I think it's like, well, we already like this person and now they're doing sex work. So maybe we don't hate it as much.
sex
You know
work.
what
Yeah.
I mean?
Maybe I don't hate sex work now. Yeah.
Well, but we have a strange relationship with all of that, right? Because there's people that are quite famous and wealthy now that started by leaking videos or
Right.
started with like that sex work adjacent work.
Right, but I like the word you used, leaking, right? Because even those famous people had to, because of society, say that the tape was stolen or that the tape was leaked.
They would never put it out on their own.
FYI, it couldn't stay on a real internet site for 10 seconds without paperwork. I'll just let that stand there.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I tell people this all the time, and it really pisses me off, especially about casting couches, because people are so convinced that every casting couch is so real. And I'm like, it wouldn't be on the internet.
Well, the only real casting couches are those in mainstream, right? We parody.
Yeah.
The fact that casting couch is a thing in porn is because it's a real thing that many of my friends have gone through
in mainstream
acting. When we do a casting couch, everybody's consenting and paid.
Yeah.
And the power dynamic isn't present.
Yes.
In mainstream, that's not the case.
So true. And then it all came to light with the Weinstein thing, and the general world was like, what? And we're all like, yeah.
What did you think casting? And they're like, you guys do casting couch. We're like, yeah, it's a parody of like, what?
Real Hollywood.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine if they had to vet you by seeing if you could have sex? Everyone can have sex.
Right.
What are you even talking about?
Right.
Can you imagine if someone was just like, I don't know how to have sex? Like, you don't need a casting couch.
That was my casting couch. So, and I'm still in porn 9 years later. So you don't really have to know. You just learn as you go. I watched some of my first porns the other day, just scrolling through Pornhub, and I rolled upon one. Do you know that they had to dub my voice over because I wasn't talking or moaning for so much of it that they dubbed moans in? And as I was watching, I was like, that's not my mouth moving, but that's my moans. They dubbed me. They dubbed my voice.
Funny.
I was so bad. They had to dub my own.
I used to put my face like this in every photo for like 2 years. So there's those pictures out
forever
there.
in the world.
Yeah. Oh, you got to learn as you go.
It wasn't my best angle, but I thought it was probably really good.
Oh, the learning curve. It is a learning curve. Also, a lot of people think when you get into porn, it's going to be like overnight success and your instant money. Mine was not instant money in the slightest.
Not at all. It's brand building, though.
Yes.
You don't go on Instagram and have 12 million followers the next day. It's a slow, consistent. I love the word consistent because that's one thing a lot of people don't have, the consistency. It's a slow, consistent grind. And I think that's what sets you and I. Yes, we've had luck and we've been filmed by the top companies and all that. But I think the reason we're so successful doesn't have anything to do with how good we are at sucking dick.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
110%.
110%.
Knowing you are incredibly consistent.
Yeah.
You are incredibly motivated.
Yeah.
You don't drop the ball. You don't check out for a month.
Right.
You know, and slowly over time, we've made it up that hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, some people skyrocket to the top right away. That's great for them. But I climbed it slow.
Yep. Slow climb for me. Yeah. But it also makes it feel really worth it now.
Yeah.
I think if I would have succeeded in the beginning, I might not have understood how hard of work it really was and what I need to keep putting in every single day.
Right. If you succeeded with minimal effort, it would be harder to transition, especially into being an actual independent business owner like you are now.
Yes.
Running your own company with consistency and diligence.
Yes.
Because I even tell other girls this who are very, let's just use OnlyFans because everyone's on it.
Yeah.
You know, if you make a promise to your fans that you're going to provide X, Y, and Z,
you have to
and then
provide.
you stop providing it here and there, your few mega fans, your white knights, they're going to stick around for your woe is me story, right? But for the most part, if my Netflix consistently kept going dead, I would unsubscribe.
Yeah, right.
I think people's egos, maybe because I was such a slow roll, I don't have such a monstrous ego.
Same.
But I think some people's egos are so big that they think they can just do anything and provide or not provide anything and expect their fans to stick around. And I think, again, I think that's why our sites are thriving, because if you make a promise, you keep that promise.
And you deliver.
You deliver what you say you're going to deliver every single time.
And you make an amazing product every time.
You put your energy into it. You put your heart into it.
But is everything you do in life revolving around work? Mine is. I feel like mine is. I do. Do you not?
Yeah, I really do.
I think everybody at this table.
I was going to say, from the time I wake up in the morning, I know I have a for sure plan in my head of exactly what I'm doing that day. And every day is how I build towards the next step.
Yeah.
There's a list every day of
That's
everything.
probably why we're here talking.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think it's just like anything. If you put enough hard work in, you can succeed. We are very blessed and lucky to be where we are, but it's not because we didn't try. And I think the lesson at the end of this is, multiple streams of income. Don't, always be ready to bob and weave and go with the punches and put in the extra time that it takes to be successful. You know?
And if you are in the job of pornography, treat it like any other job.
Yes.
Have a schedule for yourself. Go to work every day.
Mm-hmm.
You have to treat this like beyond a full-time job, because I was a physical therapist, and let me tell you, working for somebody else 9 to 5 couldn't be easier, because when you're home, you're home.
Well, even
we're never off.
I was going to say, talk about our vacations, because we go on vacation is work trip.
I have the best time, first of all.
Right.
This is not me throwing shade on our amazing trips.
But they're work trips.
We all work our asses off.
Yeah. There isn't a day that goes by where we aren't making content for our people while we are vacationing and having our great time, but all while still recording it, still making content, still shooting videos. We're making custom videos
TikToks,
on our
YouTubes,
time
customs,
off.
content, solos.
Yeah.
I mean,
everything.
The whole time.
Yeah. We literally take hours. We're like, okay, everyone go disperse, and then we'll meet back up for lunch in 3 hours. Yeah? Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
It's work trips, But we can also write it off on taxes. So, there's that.
And a privilege to get to go with like your favoriteest people.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm being sent on this work trip and I'm like, oh my God, why do I have to go with so and so? Like, we're picking the people.
I got to share a room with Sharon. We got to be at breakfast at 9.
Be up till noon.
Meanwhile, we rent villas with personal chefs. It's a little bit different vacation.
Still up working at 6 a.m.
Yeah, still up working at 6 a.m. though. That is accurate. And in bed by 10.
Honestly, yeah.
Because that's what it takes to run a successful business, though. Got to get your sleep. All right, Dr. Eddie, you are a successful businessman yourself.
I'm working on the brand.
Yeah.
Sure.
We got to build your brand up.
The educational brand.
You got to get that.
It's a thing.
I know, but we can't get you on social media. That's the problem.
We got
to advertise you.
You're kind of against. Here's the thing: you work in academia, and it's incredibly important, and the work that you do is incredibly important. But we live in this crazy social media culture, and I've said this before. I always wonder if things like this, unfortunately, don't get your message, your healthcare messages, all of your different messages out to more of an audience than the articles you publish in respected journals.
For sure.
You know?
It's certainly a conversation happening in academia now, but it's hard to make those transitions because those relationships aren't established. And how a university what is success to a university is those publications in those journals. And that's all that matters most of the time.
But why does a scientist publish in a journal if not to forward public knowledge, right? The whole purpose of discovering something
impress
is
other
to
doctors.
Share that thing with the world.
Well, the counter to that is, or the adjacent argument in that area is also that you're often talking to your peers in those journals, right? Because those journals are behind paywalls for most people that don't have access to this science, these discoveries, this stuff that's happening. And so these kind of venues are all there are available.
Yeah, but then what happens is someone who's not really an expert might get parts of that information, and then they're the ones with the social media expert. And so people are getting this information not from the expert, not from you guys, where it should be coming from directly to the public.
I would say that especially recently, and I've had mentors that are much better at it, that have really made those transitions depending if you're working with NGOs and doing all of that stuff. So there is a transition where that kind of applied work within that arena is more valued, and universities are taking note some universities in some instances are taking note that, a podcast could impact just as much as a journal, if not more, but you also have to have different conversations, right? We've had many conversations here where we have to speak in a specific way so that it's understandable and it's not too jargony, right? And science is very jargony, and so it becomes like a fine line. And this has all been a learning experience for me of how to fine tune getting messages across to a variety of people when you're not just talking to a room full of doctors or a room full of public health people.
I would argue that this podcast has probably gotten your message out to more people than some of your most prestigious articles.
I agree, for sure.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy.
It is crazy.
This is a cultural commentary. I'm not saying this is how it should be, but here we are.
It's certainly a piece of it. And so being able to do both, I think, is what matters. And so having those skills, but there's no place to learn both of those skills because it takes so long to learn to do the one doctor stuff that the social media stuff, you're often like, who has time for that? Because this does take quite a bit of all of our time.
More time than anyone thinks.
And don't you think, because I noticed this change in the profession, so when physical therapy went from bachelor's to master's and then master's to doctorate, I feel like it weeded out some of the most social, amazing physical therapists. So
For sure.
I don't know how you feel about that, but having your, PhD plus, right? Sometimes weeds out some of the people who, like you, have a great personality, can do public speaking, very, very well. But you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I would say that unfortunately some of the people with the most expertise might not also
Sure,
have
it certainly
this
attracts
skill.
a very specific kind of person
Right.
in academia. And it took me 6+ years to finish my PhD,
Sure.
2 years for a master's.
Yeah.
So all of that is huge time, and you're trained to work within that sphere. And it attracts a specific kind of person that's
Who
going to
can
go
even
into
do
those
it,
areas.
or
Right.
who could even get that far. Like I said, I feel like a lot of the DPT students aren't necessarily as fun and sociable and boisterous as it was when we all had bachelor's degrees. And I don't know that that's good for the field. Unpopular opinion.
Agreed.
Especially as a therapist, you're seeing multiple times a week. You gotta be likable.
Yeah, 100%. I worked in physical therapy, so
I'm not always likable, so we'll leave it at that.
Lies. Lies. But it is about having multiple streams of income for
Definitely.
your profession as well.
Yeah, it does. But you also have limitations within how you can play in different areas, right? And so even in this area is not a common area, and it's certainly not something that universities are always excited about if you're dealing with sex work and all of those types of issues as well, where I've had mentors say, that might not be the right place to go if this is the path you're following.
That's so sad. So the biggest experts who could really provide amazing information, you're saying, are even being discouraged from having this as a second income stream. And
it's a very sensitive area. And so depending on what state your university's in, it's going to, of course, be an issue, and stuff like that's happening right now in Florida. Right?
But does it also not kind of pigeonhole you then if you do? Because I think of like the doctor, the sex show doctor guy from back in the day, Dr. Drew. I think of someone like him, and now you do pigeonhole him into like a sex doctor,
Definitely.
So that kind of like puts you in like, well, you couldn't do neuroscience anymore. You've talked about sex, so you're the sex doctor now.
I certainly made a conscious decision when I was finishing my master's, and most of my master's work was on STIs and sex work.
And then
when I did my PhD, it was very different on like water and infrastructure and all like structural violence, and very different direction on purpose, even though I still publish when it comes to like HIV and STIs. So I still do that as well. But like,
you wanted a broader spectrum.
I wanted a broader spectrum, because otherwise a lot of researchers become like, I'm an HIV researcher and that's all I research, right? And so sex work covers a pretty broad gamut.
Yeah.
And so there's not that many that deal with it for these specific reasons. So
Yeah.
that's unfortunate for everybody.
I know.
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
We're making a change. That's what we're doing. Changing the world one episode at a time.
And that's why I'm the least paid person.
We're gonna change that, Dr. Eddie. We're gonna step it up. All right. I feel pretty good about that episode. I feel like you guys learned some tips and tricks of our trade. That's what I meant to say. There it is. All right.
Financial myths.
Yeah. And how we make it all happen. All right, Cherie, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Cherie DeVille XO, on Twitter at Cherie DeVille, and just Google me.
That's it, folks. And you will not be disappointed. I can promise you that. Dr. Eddie, thank you so much, as always, for everything you do and for getting all the research on the show and for bringing up the most valuable points that we need to discuss. We appreciate you so much. All right, guys. Until next time, adios.